Let's talk about the electricity or power sector itself. The planned tariff hike is still in the pipelines, and Nigerians, regardless of the disruptions within the power or supply chain, have to cough up more money now going forward, especially as the industry is gearing up for yet another tariff hike. I mean, every year Nigerians are traumatized by the prospect of a tariff hike of electricity, vis-a-vis all the challenges within the sector itself. I mean, we just witnessed yet another national grid collapse just a couple of days ago, signposting the gaps within the industry itself. But the government is saying, unfortunately, the subsidies are not sustainable, and therefore Nigerians would just have to brace up for this particular tariff hike. So we first of all want to hear the pulse of the nation by giving you an opportunity to join the conversation. Tell us how you feel about this prospective tariff hike that is just around the corner. And Sandy, if you could just give us a sense of this, because this is more of a business kind of conversation where the government is saying, listen, this is what makes sense. And we're talking about 300%. It's no joke. 300% of anything, it's a lot, actually.
It is a lot if you think of it as just the price per unit of electricity. So every time that ring goes round in your meter and completes the cycle, 200 naira is gone. That's what it means. So if you currently get about 100 units for buying 10,000, by the time it becomes 200, you probably will be getting like 20 units or 40. For the same amount. You know, that is what it means. Even though the government continues to say that there is a subsidy regime in place up to the end of this year. So basically what they are doing is, for some of these increases, the government says it is targeting just 15% of the population, which makes up about 40% of the consumers of power. But you understand how these things work. There is no escaping it for the middle class, as we currently see structured. So if you're living in the FCT, for instance, and you stay anywhere from Lugbe to Gwagwalada, there is really no escaping this. The reality will be for all of us. So we don't know how that stratification would work out. What we know is that people are still struggling to get their heads out of the water, you know, following the drowning that occurred with the removal of the first subsidy and, of course, the floating of the naira. And the consensus, essentially, or the concerns, that if this is allowed to pull through, that we may just we may just completely be annihilating the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We now have our first caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Can you please raise your voice a bit, reduce the volume of your TV set, and let's have your thoughts.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How is the show?
Very well, thank you. Can we please have your name and where you're calling from, and go straight ahead to make your point?
My name is Ismail Isa from Makodi.
Okay. Go ahead, Ismail Isa. I'm afraid we're going to have to move on from Ismail Isa. This is just to, state it clearly that, turning the volume of your TV set down while we're interacting is the best case scenario for both of us, especially for our viewers, because we can then not have to deal with the delayed feedback. But more often than not, people would want to still hear themselves on the TV while talking to us, and that lag itself is not going to make for a smooth conversation. So please turn down the volume of your TV set while calling in and go straight to the point. We'd love to hear your take about this possible of, in fact, looking certain now, 300% hike in electricity tariff. And of course, you can segue into telling us the poor power supply in your location, because that is one common denominator that most Nigerians can agree on. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. Hello, good morning. I think we have the first toddler call us on this particular platform. Or perhaps maybe daddy or mommy somehow got the phone snatched from their hands, because they're very good at snatching phones and playing with it. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello? Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello, good morning. Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set?
Okay, let's move on to the next caller then. It seems very simple enough. Those people calling in are using English to speak, and I think we're also speaking English, right? So it should be very easy to understand. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. This is Gabriel calling from Lafia.
Gabriel from Lafia, Nasarawa State.
Yes.
Good morning, Gabriel. Go ahead, please.
Really, I want to contribute to the topic or the issue of rise or hike in electricity.
Yeah.
I think the problem there is this: the people that will suffer more or most of this thing or more of this thing are people that don't have prepaid meters. Because if you look at what is actually happening, like in Nasarawa State or Lafia to be precise, most of the customers don't have prepaid. And how will they be charged? You will later realize that the charge will be exorbitant because you cannot by unit be able to ascertain the light be consumed. So that will be a problem. But notwithstanding, it's a big blow to hear such news at this very time when the economy is a little bit bad, or we're trying to at least see on how the economy will be stabilized.
Yeah.
Making my own suggestions here, that if truly they want to make any hike, there should be provision of prepaid meters in some of these states that don't have the prepaid meters. It's very, very important in this very time. And the prepaid meter, we learned that it has been made available by the government. But still, those that are working in all these places, you must give them about 70 or 100,000 naira before they give you a prepaid meter. So really, I want this matter to be deliberated in-depthly so that we will know that if these meters are to be given freely or are not to be given freely. It's very, very important, it's very crucial at this very time. Because people are being exploited in this very aspect of life.
Yeah.
So I think the government should be serious over this before considering the hike. I think these are major things that need to be put in place.
Okay.
So this is my take. I really enjoy the show.
Gabriel, just before you go, and we do really appreciate you for the contribution. Give me an idea of how much you spend on electricity, for instance.
Yeah, really, how much I spend for electricity? In a month, I spend no less than 4,000 to 5,000.
Right.
Just room and a parlor.
Right. Okay. Well, imagine 300% of that.
That's underestimated bill. Underestimated bill.
Right. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for adding your voice to the conversation. Really appreciate you for calling in.
Like you were
You're
saying,
welcome.
A 300% increase, Gabriel will be looking at 15,000.
Yeah. And does Gabriel have 15,000 to come up just to pay for electricity? That's the question.
That is it, for the kind of supply we get. So he's raised a very vital question, which is metering, so that even if people are able to afford it, they pay for only the powers that they use and not the estimated situations that we have. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Okay. Try again. We have two numbers on the screen for you. Choose the one that best connects or aligns with your network. Sometimes the service can be very tricky, which is yet another issue, by the way. When it comes to service provision in Nigeria, like many other climes, it is quite tricky. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program. State your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Hello,
good morning.
Jesus Christ.
We can actually hear you. Good morning.
I'm John Ogab. I'm calling from Abuja.
Oh, John from Abuja. Good morning. Go ahead, John.
Okay, good morning. Yes, I understand that the increment is not is true, but it's not realistic. It's not realistic at all. Look at the subsidy removal. They told us that removing of the subsidy will help the nation. Is it anything helping us? Everything has escalated as a result of the removal of subsidy. So, increment of electricity bill will not help any situation.
You have to turn down the volume of your TV set so that you can speak to us unhindered.
Having the subsidy removal today.
Okay. I'm afraid. Yeah, we have to move on to the next caller. I mean, he was making a valid point there about the human cost of this, even the economic cost itself. Because right now, with headline inflation well above 30%. We're talking about a variety of issues. Nigeria's lowered purchasing power is quite significant.
That is, if it's
people are losing their jobs. People are unemployed. People are, dealing with poverty, and this is only going to compound an already compounded issue.
Situation.
And unfortunately,
you can excuse the pessimism or even cynicism if people choose to. Is the fact that with the removal of subsidy, the president made pronouncements about flooding the street with CNG buses, about alternate gas, several interventions that we're supposed to follow. But as we speak, we are still looking for some of those buses. Some 8 months, after these pronouncements were made. So that's where the suspicions begin to come in. If you are going to make a major shift and you don't have plans or programs to cushion the effects, of some of those decisions, or that you've done some in the past, you've promised, and they have not seen it. People have had to take those shocks in.
There should 100%. Be a give and take. But there's only taking. We've only been seeing taking so far, and Nigerians have been also taken for granted to a certain extent, because these are some of the things that allow people to feel a sense of, listen, we have a government that it actually cares about our well-being. I mean, the power supply itself is nothing to write home about. But if you're charging people an exorbitant amount for the power that they don't actually enjoy, I mean, just imagine the level of frustration boiling over and causing, a lot of distress, not just to the government, but to the entire country as a whole. So it's quite a very tricky situation that the government is going to deal with right now. And these power sector reforms, for instance, I think we have someone on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to the program.
I'm Abdullah from Katsina State.
Abdullah from Katsina State. Welcome to the program. Go ahead.
Okay. This increase in electricity is really insensitive, really. And this is the price Nigerians are paying for the failures of the governments that do follow these international institutions that are very cruel and wicked. These are the policies designed by these insensitive organizations, and our government, unfortunately, take them in. This is really serious, and I think I will advise the government that they should stop this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, for that, concise take on that one. And even with regards to the subsidy removal, people are saying, listen, this is the IMF prescription that the federal government is working with, even though domestically we've always talked about how not so sustainable the program is. But it seems that this sentiment is gaining traction. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
It seems as if the problems we are having of this fuel is something caused by we Nigerians ourselves. One particular problem, every day, every year, and no solution. What is responsible? There must be a problem somewhere. The problem is there somewhere. One particular thing, every day. That is not life. Let them find a solution. There is a solution. To every problem, there is a solution. Thank you.
Okay.
We didn't get your name and where you're calling from.
My name?
Yes, please. And where you're calling
Okay,
from.
my name is Jibril Isa. From
Okay.
Makoni.
Okay,
From Makodi.
Jibril, thank you so much. I can understand your frustration about this particular thing. It's like an unending phenomenon. Every year we're talking about the same things: bad roads, corruption in government, lack of electricity, no good schools, no good hospitals, lack of access, insecurity. And, the problems continue to multiply in the same fashion. And unfortunately, Jibrin's point is actually true, that for so long, how many years after privatization?
This is
The second decade now.
second decade, basically.
Yeah. So, and what do we actually have to show for it? I mean, the government is now saying the discos need some 2 trillion or so to stay afloat, and the monies are not there, so Nigerians have to, pull their weight and pay, and that explains the electricity tariff hike. But, you don't need any expert to tell you that Nigerians have been underserviced for years, and there's no justification whatsoever why they should be paying more for less, because it just doesn't make any sense.
I think it was former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Mualu, who was saying somewhere that the formula to move this economy to the next level is not something far-fetched. That just as much as double power supply to 10,000, which is like 100%. Oh, it's at 4.5, 9,000, which is like 100% of supply. That is nothing compared to a 45 million South African economy that does about 65 million megawatts. Just 9,000, and you will see how much ripple effect that will have in our system, and then we can begin to talk 15, probably 20, and all of that. But right now, you hear about all of the sums of money that are spent in this sector, and outputs just continue to remain the same. If anything, what you now hear that has become a frequent register in discussing electricity is grid collapse, and you wonder what exactly is going on with that entire sector.
Yeah.
We have another caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're very well, thank you. Your name and where you're calling from?
How are you? Very well, thank you. Your name and where you're calling from? I am Chief Andong. I'm calling from Plateau State.
Okay, Chief. I would need you to turn down the volume of your TV set and make your point, sir.
I would need you to turn down the volume of your TV. All right. I think the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have a rethink. We're tired of all these things that they're doing. Is this the renewed hope they promise us? Nigerians are suffering day in, day out, from one problem to the other, and there's no perimeter to it. There's no direct strategic approach to all these things. This power they're talking about, in my place, you pay, you spend 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you see like maybe once or 3 times a day. And it will last for only 2 hours. And yet they're telling us we want to pay 300%. No, it is not called for. Nigerians do not deserve this, please. I think the government should call those suppliers of power into proper discuss and find out what is their problem. The Nigerians do not deserve this at all. So I advise that the government should call the energy suppliers to tell us when they bought this company, what was the agreement? What was the agreement? Was it that Nigerians will be paying light bills that they don't have services for? So I advise and hereby request that the presidency should do something about it. Because it's getting to a point that Nigerians will soon revolve over certain decisions that are not inhuman. They don't have human faces.
Yeah.
That is my contribution.
Thank you very much, Chief, for joining the conversation. And we've talked about, the human cost of this particular development, and that in itself is one of the reasons why many Nigerians. And listen, we cannot operate a completely capitalist system. It's not going to work. It cannot only be let it make business sense or let it make economic sense, because at the end of the day, by design, government is supposed to address the concern of the people that created it, because it is the people that created the government, right? That's the spirit of the whole thing. So it cannot be, these policy directions cannot be devoid of a human face, of the concern of what are the people going to go through. Because subsidies, as developed as America is, there are several subsidies layered across different sectors and industries. As flourishing as some of their businesses are, they're heavily subsidized, whether it's in agriculture or in other industries. But what we're seeing right now is that it took complete hands-off from the government on some of the things that really matter to the people.
Very true. We have another caller. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Very true. We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I think we've lost our connection to that. We have a couple of minutes to spare, or just a minute or so to entertain just one more call before we end the interactive session. But I think we can safely assume what many more Nigerians are going to say about this one, that it is unacceptable, that it is not people-centric, and this is not renewing anybody's hope in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, the timing, it's one that, of course, every Nigerian would not accept, would not agree with. All right, we have the space for one more call. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you. I'm calling Mustafa, calling from Benin.
Mustafa from Benin. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
It is high time for we to see that democracy did not help Nigerians, or we all Nigerians. We are tired of all increase of everything in Nigeria. Right now, we are not good to say we are eating 3 square meals in a day. Nobody, except those who are still stealing our money, call themselves politicians. We took some money to market, we are not able to buy, to eat as well. Now, the tinubu groups want to still increase the tariff, of which will not give a light. No light in Nigeria. We not still have the light, and they are still want to increase the tariff again. Are we not tired of everything? If we have to ask ourselves questions. This is the high time for we to think about democracy. If the certain Nigerians, it will not help. Because at the end of the day, we have seen ourselves kill ourselves in the field voting for those who are punishing us, who did not contribute to our life lives. It is it's high time for we to begin to think otherwise, to leave this democracy. If this military regimes, we are going to plead with them to take over the power, so that we can live our life the way God wants it. It is not my take in this matter. Seriously, I'm tired. For we not to have food to eat, no money. Even if you have the money, you're not able to enjoy your money in the country. This is no longer country. This is what we call life of desert. Everything increasing. We don't see a government who will help to minimize things or to cut everything off.
Yeah.
It is very bad.
Yeah.
Very, very bad indeed.
Thank you.
My take of this issue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mustafa from Benin. And of course, with his poignant thoughts, we're going to have to draw a curtain on this particular interaction. It's quite dystopian, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the things that we used to enjoy, I'm not even going to say take for granted. And now it looks, like we're getting out of the front pan and stepping into the fire of some sort. And I do understand that sometimes it's darkest before it's dawn. But my goodness, the hope that things are going to get better is fading away day by day.
True.
And you hear the voices of Nigerians speaking on this particular issue. Some people are just frustrated to a point that they're just giving up.
You can
on
hear
the idea
that.
that
You can hear that from Mustafa's voice. He said he's tired. And at some point he said, I think we will just pray to God to take their lives so that we can have our own lives back. It's as bad as things have gotten. We hear all the justifications for this. They tell you, except you have a market reflective tariff, that new funds would not come into the sector. You hear such things as the last time the tariff was reviewed, the exchange rate was around 480 or 90 something naira to $1. That has also jumped multiple fold. But the conversation never addresses the quality of power supply. It never addresses.
So the people are not factored
into that conversation. So it's always what is convenient for the producers, what is profitable for the players, and not what helps anybody. I mean, for the Easter season, we managed to get a kilo of meat for 4,000 naira, and by the next morning they went bad because we had no power throughout the entire period, completely no power supply. That's what the experience of the average home has been like. So it is about what should precede the other. Should I give you a market reflected tariff for a service that is not there, or should you provide the service and then you can ask for what is equitable tariff? Well, like Abdullah said, this is the much that we would take on our call in this morning. We will continue to explore this conversation. We would now have an expert joining us after this break, to dimension some of the professional considerations for this, the pros and the cons of all that the government is considering at this time. You don't want to miss that conversation. Please stay with us after this break.